Let's talk open workout 25.1 strategy. I'm going to break down the movements as well as give you tips for being as efficient as possible with each, which with a lot of reps over the course of 15 minutes is as important as ever. And if you don't know me, I'm Georgia. I competed in CrossFit for almost a decade and I started as a beginner and made it all the way to the CrossFit Games in 2021, Wodapalooza in 2022 and semi-finals again in 2023. So I have done my fair share of competitions, qualifiers and open workouts. So let's go. Let's start with the burpees. My first tip is hand position. So you're going to start by standing by the side of your dumbbell. You're going to put your hands out in front and that is where you're going to place your hands for every single rep. Not right next to the dumbbell. Otherwise you'll end up having to put way more effort in to almost fold yourself in half as you jump back in to then jump over the dumbbell. The next tip is to stay low and keep your upper body and shoulders relaxed whenever your hands are off the ground. And this is going to allow you to breathe as comfortably as possible. And then before we talk about burpee pacing and technique, the last tip, regardless of what technique you use, is not to rest on the floor. You're going to use that momentum to hit the deck and come straight back up. No lowering yourself steadily as if you're doing a press up. You're only going to fatigue your chest, triceps and shoulders doing that and spend more time under tension. So burpees are going to be the crux of this workout if the dumbbell weight is comfortable for you. Rep for rep, they are going to be taking up the longest time with the exception of the lunges, but as the rep scheme increases, those lunges are going to become less significant and a smaller proportion of the time is going to be spent on them. So burpees need to be efficient and ideally fast. So you need to know your pace and I'm going to show you the 3 techniques that I would suggest for 3 different paces. The slowest and steadiest is going to be you step down, step up and jump over. And try and always use your outside leg, so the leg the furthest from the dumbbell, to avoid overloading the same leg on every single rep. The next one, and this is what I'd be using for most of the workout, is the jump down, step in technique. So you're going to use the jump back to let yourself almost flop onto the floor and then step in again with your outside leg furthest from the dumbbell and you'll be ready to jump straight over and into the next rep. And then you've got the fastest option, jump down, jump up, jump over the dumbbell. And this might be good if you're super fit or if you want to maybe get the 3s, the 6s and even the 9s out of the way quickly at the start of the workout before settling into a steadier pace for the bigger sets. And you might also switch to this technique when you're near the end and you're squeezing those final reps in as the clock ticks down. I want you to practice all 3 and know your fitness. You are always better off being steady and consistent with room to pick up the pace later down the line, especially in a 15-minute workout, rather than going out too hot and hitting a wall, because the last thing you want to be doing is kind of doing 1 rep and then waiting and basically resting in between reps on burpees. You're much better to be chipping away at a steady, consistent pace. Now, hang clean and jerks, one of my favorite movements ever since they came up in 18.1, but these are with a little bit of a difference on 2 points, because you can take the first rep from the floor and you can also alternate arms as and when you like, unlike in 18.1 when you had to do 5 on each arm, which is going to come into the strategy. But first we are going to talk about the technique of the movement itself. You're going to dip at the knees and hips with a dumbbell between your legs and your arm straight, and then as you extend your knees and hips, it's going to be like a little jump and you're going to use that momentum to bring the dumbbell to your shoulder and you're going to catch it there with your knees and hips slightly bent again, because then you can do that little jump again to press the dumbbell overhead. So you're using your legs rather than your shoulder and your triceps to press the dumbbell up. That would be my go-to technique, a clean and push press, but you could dip under it like this. If you do this, make sure that you then stand up fully, so your knees, hips, shoulder and elbow are going to be fully locked out before lowering the dumbbell, otherwise it's going to be a no rep. I find the push press easier, it feels more natural to me, but play around with both and see what suits you. Now, whether to alternate or not, similar to burpees, if you're pretty comfortable with the dumbbell, I'd probably start off on the shorter rounds, the 3s, 6s, 9s, and maybe even the 12s, sticking with just one arm and whizzing through them before settling into a steadier pace, maybe the 3s on my left, 6s on my right, 9s on my left, etc. Then, as the rep scheme gets bigger, you want to be thinking about a few things. Number 1, how confident and slick are you with changing arms? If it's super comfortable, feels second nature, then you might be more likely to use that technique. Number 2, are you going to be going unbroken? If you're not going unbroken, you might be better off breaking the sets up and doing each set on one arm, for example. If you want to break them up from round 12, you might do 6 reps on one arm, put the dumbbell down, then 6 reps on the other arm. Number 3, do you have a preference mentally? You might prefer to feel like you're ticking off multiples of 3 each time you change arms, so it feels like less of a slog. Or you might prefer to just switch off mentally, go into autopilot, alternating arms as your judge counts your reps. This is going to be super individual, so think about what's going to help you dig deep as things get tough. Be careful not to go to failure on one side, and remember that you are going to need to use that arm to press on the burpees as well. Personally, my preference would be starting off the workout, getting the first few rounds done pretty quickly, not switching arms, and then maybe from the 12s or 15s onwards settling into an alternating rhythm. But I'd stay flexible and consider changing mid-workout if it felt better. Finally, the lunges, and as I've said, these are going to be of less significance the further you go through, but if that dumbbell weight is particularly challenging, you're fairly new to competition, then actually you might be spending a fairly large amount of time on the lunges, so they don't not matter. And in addition, you could waste a lot of time and energy on them unnecessarily if you don't think it through first. Before you start, I want you to practice your 15-foot length a few times and know exactly how many lunges you need to do, and whether you need to take some longer lunge steps anywhere to get over the line in fewer steps. It's really easy to avoid any half mini lunges that you have to do just to get over the line because you misjudged it by sorting this out before you start the workout. Another point is that because these are body weight, you've got a chance to breathe and relax your upper body, which isn't getting a break during the rest of the workout. So keep tension minimal. If you have the fitness to maintain a fast pace on the lunge, go for it. But if not, I recommend letting that knee hit the floor in a way that gives you a bit of rebound and making sure to take a breath at the top of each rep. When we put all of this together, it's coming down to, if you are comfortable with the dumbbell, this is a major fitness test, and in particular a burpee test. So you really want to think about being as efficient and ideally fast on those burpees as possible from the get-go. If the dumbbell is not your strong point and you are going to have to split those reps up, then obviously efficiency is still equally important, but your strategy on the dumbbell is going to make more of a difference, and you want to be really controlled and deliberate with your rests. I'd suggest putting the dumbbell down, taking one step back, taking a breath, stepping back to the dumbbell and picking it right back up, rather than kind of having indefinite rests and having no process for what that rest period looks like, because that can eat up time really quickly, and you're not actually going to feel that much better when you've had that extra 5, 10, 15 seconds rest. On this note, transitions are always going to be important too. So on the lunges, for example, you want to be quickly turning around at the end of each length, getting straight back into the next one. I'd also say that at the end of your final lunge, just get straight down on the floor for the burpee. Don't think about it, just get on the floor, because thinking about it is not going to actually help you recover, and it's just going to make you think about how rubbish you're feeling and make you want to maybe give up. Likewise on the dumbbell, after you finish that first burpee, you're going to be in an ideal position to just take a step, so your foot is on the other side of the dumbbell, and pick that dumbbell straight up. And then you can think about, well, do I need to actually break this up? Do I need to take a rest? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But waiting around, hoping to recover a little bit and just thinking about how much pain you're in and how hard you're breathing is not going to help you feel any better or get that work done any quicker. Let me know in the comments if you've got any questions, if you found this helpful, and of course, if you'd like to see more content like this, and if you'd like me to do this again next week.